Hello, Internet! Welcome to Games That Time Forgot. It's October here, and this time around we're looking at 2012's offering Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Put out by Big Huge Games, 38 Studios, and EA. It was 38 Studios' only game, really. So, let's talk about that. By which I of course mean, let's talk about the plot. There's a war going on in the Feylands between the Summer Court and the Winter Court. Please don't ask me to pronounce their names. You all laughed at me during Asura's Wrath. The Winter Court is totally kicking butt and wiping out everybody. The gnomes, the humans, the elves, the sort of elves, the not quite elves, the goblins, the trolls, the various and sundry other creatures, and of course the Summer Fae. And that is the plot dump you get before you die. What? And then the game begins. From there, it's pretty much a standard RPG game with open-world constructs wherein nobody can solve their own problems, and since the game is about as cynical as the original Star Wars trilogy, if you want to know who's morally questionable, just look at what they're wearing. If it's a dark color, you probably shouldn't trust them. If it's a light color, you're probably okay. And if they're in neutral colors, well, you've gotten the idea by now. Anywho, so since the storyline is so basic, let's take a look at who wrote it. R.A. Salvatore. Fairly big name in the fantasy genre. And R.A. Salvatore was pretty much a fixture of my youth. Star Wars novels, the ever-present Drizzt, which I kinda grew out of, but not really. I still get excited when I see a new one coming out, because there's always one coming out. And the world design itself, including monsters, characters, and whatnot, came down to Todd McFarlane, he of Spawn fame. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to this. For the most part, McFarlane's artwork isn't really my cup of tea. But it does have a naturalist quality that kind of offsets the whole whimsical nature of the world itself. And whimsy is a key factor in Kingdoms of Amalur. It's very, very charming. It's repulsively charming. And the whimsy and the charm definitely holds its own. But is that charm enough? Personally, I think it is. The game is a post-Tolkien fantasy. Yes, I had to say that slowly, otherwise I would have stuttered. Wherein the creatures are just different enough that you can't say it's a pastiche of things that have come before it. Or can you? The Fae are just the elves. The gnomes have replaced the dwarves in a couple of very specific regards. And the thing that keeps it most from becoming just another generic fantasy game is a focus on an individual mythology, in this case Celtic, or Celtic. However you want to pronounce it, I tend to go with Celtic. But really it's just name grabs. There's no real connection to the mythology. This is, in the end, its own story. And I dig that. And the flexibility of the class system is really awesome. I did enjoy it, and for its time, kinda groundbreaking. Granted, there's been other things, Elder Scrolls of course, which lets you sort of bend if you wanted to be a wizard or a fighter or a rogue or a mixture of all three or a mixture of two with just a subset of one. But in the plotline it does make sense. Since you're recent in coffining and climbing to the top of the corpse heap to be reborn, it allows you to be quote-unquote fateless in the context of the game, so you can choose to be Rory Gilmore, Slayer of Kings, Chosen of the War God, or Grand High Poobah of the Mage College. And it works. I know when this game came out it got tagged as Baby's First Skyrim, but I don't really think that's accurate. It feels more like Baby's First World of Warcraft. Only there's no mounts, everything is colorful and whimsical and nice, but you're single player. So instead of having to deal with the constant threat of a Leroy Jenkinsing, or of course the endless mockery for not knowing what's going on because you didn't read up on the lore and or you're new to the game that you got 5 days ago but has been out for years, and you really just want to start off. But the community seems kind of hostile to new people because you got on that one server that everybody's a jerk on, and then you have to... Okay, that's a bit too personal. You'll cut that out, right? Okay, cool. Thanks. And it being Baby's First World of Warcraft makes sense in that this was supposed to be the jump-off point for an MMORPG. And it's kind of built into the plotline where it would make sense. Suddenly, at the end of the game, spoiler alert, everybody is fateless. They're no longer bound to the stories of old. So you can have a bunch of people trying out different quests to see what happens because now we don't know how the story ends. Everybody's story could be different. Everybody's story could be the same. But is it worth your time? Well, hunting down a copy becomes difficult. 38 Studios folded after this, and the state of Rhode Island got involved in a lawsuit because of it. It's all very strange, but thank you part-time truth-teller Wikipedia for letting me know. But if you can hunt down a copy and you're a fan of RPGs, I do recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It has the crafting system, which always annoys me, but for some people that's your bag. awesome, go for it. Yeah, it's worth your time. And that is, as always, the highest commendation I can give. So until next time, thanks for watching Games That Time Forgot. I'm October. Later, people of Earth.